Hello, Donovan Jackson, offensive line coach, run game coordinator here at Savannah State University. First and foremost, I just want to tell you how much of a pleasure it is to be given this opportunity. I feel blessed and fortunate. I know that God placed me to do this thing they call coaching, and I'm hoping that I can utilize this platform to aid in the maturation of these young men, both at the collegiate and at the professional level. One thing that I wanted to address first was just my individual philosophy pertaining to the game of football. I believe in the notion of you obtain championship caliber football teams by building champions, individual champions within your program. And what that means is you want to make sure that you set the standard in the meeting rooms, team functions. You want to make sure that there's a sense of accountability, not only from the coaches, but the players holding themselves accountable. And you want to make sure there's a level of resiliency, understanding that when adverse situation hits, they're able to deal with it and handle it accordingly. So those are some core principles that I try to implement in our preparations when trying to adhere to the needs of my individual football players. Our mental approach as it pertains to being an offensive lineman per se, one thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're the first in and the first out of all the meetings, any team function. We feel like to whom much is given, much is required. And for that notion, we feel like we need to make sure we set the standard. We feel like if we set the standard, everybody else will come behind us. So that's the culture that we try to breed as a unit, offensive line wise. Another thing that we try to put in place is we want to be the meanest and the toughest guys in the program. We want to make sure that we set the standard. We want to make sure we set the line of scrimmage. And everything we do, we think aggressive, we think fast, and we think about dominating our opposition. That's what we do, and we utilize and we train that in everything that we do. Now that we have the mental approach out of the play, now we want to talk a little bit about some core concepts of our run game here at Savannah State University. What I like to do with young football players is I like to split it up into three facets. The first facet, you have your zone schemes. And pretty much your zone run scheme can consist of both inside zone and outside zone. And one thing when you get to talk about zone and you want to talk about the gap responsibility for that scheme, which would be the play side gap. Everybody's going to be responsible for the play side gap. And quite naturally, inside zone or outside zone, you're going to have two different aiming points. Your aiming point for inside zone, quite naturally, what I teach is midline. We want to be midline of the closest play side defender. We want to get in right now, get good knee drive, have our elbows in tight, and we want that defender to get back vertical right now. We want that across the board. I don't coach a man more so than I do an area, because you understand in the zone scheme, you understand defenses that's stunting and twisting. The guy might not be where he's initially aligned. And for that, we want to be able to be disciplined in our gap, and we want our gap and our responsibility to take us to that person. Okay, so that's why we coach aiming points and we coach actual gap responsibility. As I mentioned, hand placement is very important. We want to make sure we have our hands inside the infrastructure of the defensive lineman. We feel like that gives us a competitive advantage to not only control him, but to maintain inside leverage and get movement, get vertical. And lastly, you get to talking about your outside zone. Those aiming points will change. Outside zone, quite naturally, if we want to get to the play side number of the defender. We're on the back side. We want to sell out hard. We want to scoot to that play side number and get to the second and third level. And to the front side, we also want to get to the front side, to the play side number, but we want to latch on, we want to attack, and we want to make sure we can get to the perimeter and get our running back to that perimeter. Okay. Now, what I've done is I've taken the liberty of just briefly drawing up, one of our zone plays. We call it zipper. It's our Oregon code for zipper zone right. Okay. And basically, what you see right now just is just standard 4-2 look. Okay. We got our shade on the backside, so we want to make sure we scoop hard and secure this backside nose. Preferably get that left guard to get that backside arm through. If we can scoop that nose right now, we can free up our center to get to his gap responsibility and have eyeballs anticipating straight from that backer right now. Okay. All right. Now we want to also make sure this right guard takes his zone step. He's gap disciplined to that 3 technique. If the 3 technique spikes, tries to spike across his face, the center will be in position right now. Okay, that's what I mean by everybody is responsible for a gap versus a person. Okay, everybody's being disciplined, as you can see, taking their step and allowing their step to take them to their respective gap responsibility. Okay, that's how we teach inside zone. Okay, outside zone, quite naturally, you will see more sellout from everybody. We're going to take harder zone steps. We're going to work more of an angle right now. Okay, you're going to see guys getting to the second and third level on that backside. And on that front side, you're going to see us getting to the play side number, and we're going to latch on, and we're going to make sure we secure the perimeter for the running back so we can get up the sideline, hash number sideline, and we can score a touchdown. That's how we coach inside and outside zone. Those are base principles of how I coach it. Okay, now, the second phase, which is preferably my favorite phase, is gap schemes. Okay, and gap schemes is more so some of the plays that you'll see in a gap scheme will be your powers and your counters. Okay, power first and foremost. Everybody's going to be responsible for the backside gap. Okay, which means that if we're running power right, and quite naturally everybody's going to be responsible for that backside gap. Okay, that's where you get your double teams on your threes to the backside backers. Normally it's accompanied by some sort of kick out, whether it's two back power, you have a kick out by the fullback, or maybe if it's one back power, you have the guard maybe kicking out someone. But nevertheless, you'll have blocking backs and you'll have kick outs. Okay, our gap responsibility. Okay, aiming points right now, we understand that we still want to make sure the hands are inside the infrastructure of the body right now. We're getting in low pad leverage. Okay, good hand strain, controlling the block. Okay, good knee drive, and we're working with our buddy right now, hip to hip. Okay, getting good movement. Okay, while also training our eyes to look for that backside backer in the event he tries to approach the line of scrimmage. We can come off right now and we can take him. Okay, we allow him to dictate when we come off of the double team. We don't come off in a rush because our number one objective is to secure the down guy first. Okay, so those are some brief aiming, some brief coaching points that we'll go with the gap scheme. Okay, and the hand placement and the overall footwork. Our footwork, we never want to be off balance with our footwork. We want to take short, choppy steps, get all our cleats in the ground, utilize the insteps of our feet, and make sure we digging them deep and getting good knee drive so that we can get all of our explosion from down up through the defender. Okay, what I've done here, okay, if I also drawn up, okay, an example up top, okay, of our power play, okay, or a gap scheme play, okay, and this is just basically with our tight end, two backs, okay. You'll see here right now from left to right, we got power right. Left tackle right now is going to have a seal hinge, which means he's a B-gap player, okay. He's going to protect that B-gap, okay. His buddy, this left guard here is going to be pulling right now, what I call scraping for skin. He want to stay as tight as possible to the line of scrimmage. He want to shoot his eyes right now as soon as he hits to the butt of this tackle. He want to shoot his eyes immediately inside for the first defender he sees. Okay, center's going to block back right now. Okay, his technique and what I like to coach, I like to tell him is we want to step near foot, near hand, and we want to attack that defender's near number. Those are his rule of thumbs on that block, okay? We got the double team on this 3 technique. Anytime it's 2-on-1, we expect to win. That's a non-negotiable. We're going to win that battle, okay? We want to get butt to butt, hip to hip right now. We'll have a post guy and we'll have an enforcer guy. And the enforcer guy is coming and he's expected to get movement right now, okay? Now, one key that we have to make sure we're aware of, especially with this right guard, he has to understand how to train his eyes because we said in a gap scheme, he's responsible for what? The backside gap, which means this linebacker decides to attack this A gap right now. He has to have trained his eyes enough to where he can come off at the last minute and take him off. Okay, so we want to stay thick on this 3 technique and we want to allow this backer to dictate when we come off. Okay, and then as you'll see right here, right now, that if we got 2 back power, we'll kick out the first guy past the tight end or on the tight end. We expect that tight end to rip through right now and go get that nearest backer. Okay, and we're going to go kick out and we're going to play football. So that's just a brief synopsis of our gap scheme, one of our major gap scheme runs that we utilize, which is power, okay? Now, okay, the last scheme, which is probably the most simplistic scheme, is your man schemes, okay? And what your man schemes has, that consists of your ISOs, your isolations, your traps, guard traps, dives, all that type of stuff, okay? And right now, that's just, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, man versus man, man drive, may the best man win, okay? That's what we utilize that scheme for, okay? Aiming points, everything stays the same, okay? Depending upon the play, if we got a man scheme run, if it's dive right, okay, and I have a 3 technique, then quite naturally I want to step to that. I want to take a lead step to that defender right now. And when I take it, I want to get good contact, hands inside his infrastructure, and I want to place my head to the play side. I don't want to be too far in or too far out, but I do want to get my helmet to the play side of that defender, because that's how we understand it. That's where the play is going. Okay, so those are some base principles for our man schemes. One thing that I really coach, especially on our traps, our trap plays, I just drew up here guard trap. You know, we like to trap the 3 technique. Okay, so what that means right now is, you know, if we have the 3 technique, then that'll be a short trap for us. If they try to play us some type of 2 or 1, we'll bypass him and go to the nearest guy, the 5 technique or the 4 technique, and that'll be a long trap for us. And we have calls associated with that. Okay, but as you can see here, you know, if we run a guard trap right, okay, center or block back, okay, the left guard coming, the backside guard coming, and his technique, he's scraping for skin. He has to take a great pull step. That pull step has to actually gain ground, okay? We call that cranking the lawnmower. We don't just want him to just pivot that foot. A lot of younger guys, when they take that pull step, they pivot that foot. We want to actually pick that foot up, okay, and we want to gain ground, and we want to work at an angle, because we're anticipating movement from our center and from everybody else to get out of the way so that we can operate at an angle and kick inside out of that defensive lineman. Because see, what he's going to be taught is when he sees his guy release inside, he's going to be taught to squeeze, stay tight to the line of scrimmage, and wrong shoulder the trap. Okay, so we got to operate at an angle so we can make sure we maintain inside leverage and we can kick him out and we have a play. All right. You'll see here, play side, right guard, he's going right now to what I call the number one linebacker in the box. He's going back right now. One rule of thumb for approaching the linebackers is you don't want to approach them where they are. You want to approach them where they're going to be. Okay, so you want to make sure you're smart with your football and with your steps and understanding the angle you need to take to be able to get to him. Play side tackle will be going to the number 2 linebacker. That'll be right in front of him right now. And then if there's a tight end present, he'll be big on big. Okay, but that's one of our major man scheme runs we'll utilize. It's just basic guard trap, which is a very old play, but nevertheless still very effective. Now, we went over the 3 major run schemes that we try to categorize our runs in, and I really think it simplifies it for our guys because they understand the rules associated with each scheme necessarily than just the play itself. They understand the rules and the gap responsibilities. So that simplifies what they have to know, and they understand what they need to do to execute that play. But we also have drills, and what I like to do is we have 3-day drill rotations where we try to do drills day 1, day 2, day 3 that are specifically towards that scheme. Okay, so if it's a zone scheme, Monday may be zone scheme, and we might, everything in individual and stuff we do will be tied in towards our zone principles. Tuesday may be gap scheme day, where everything we do is associated with gap. And then day 3 may be man schemes. Everything's man drives and get offs. All that stuff will be associated with day 3. And then maybe day 4, we'll mix and match all 3 of them to make sure that nothing has been lost or forgotten throughout the course of that week. Okay, some of those drills, we'll have double team drills. Both can be associated with gap schemes, working to the backside, or double teams, scoops on the backside, working on the front side. Fit to finish, one thing I like to do is simulate, already have taken that first step, okay, and now you're simulating taking that second, getting it in the ground right now. Body leverage, knee drive, hand strain, elbows in tight, fit to finish, working down the board, finishing the defender right now. Okay, as I mentioned, scoops, we work a lot of scoops, making sure we understand scoops, and especially in the zone schemes, we want to make sure we work gap discipline stuff. I do stuff all the time where we're working on taking our steps, and I have a scout defense, and they're stunting and twisting, making sure my guys don't turn back and chase. The worst thing you can do against movement when running zone is chase. We don't want to chase. We want to stay on our track, understand our responsibility, and be disciplined. Okay, and then we'll work man drives and other different things, sled work and stuff like that to try and establish the run game. All right. Now, next phase. Okay, just briefly, we'll go over some of our past stuff pass pro concepts, okay? You have two base sets in pass pro. The first one would be your vertical sets, or what a lot of people refer to as your kick sets. And your second set will be a lateral set, or what a lot of people refer to as a lat set, okay? Two different uses. Your vertical set, normally what we utilize that for my tackles, when you have a defensive lineman that's his alignment is not touching you, he's playing a wide technique, then we want to make sure that we keep inside leverage. We want the foot that's protecting the inside gap up, and we want that kick set or that kick step, we want that back, okay, probably near the insole, okay, feet shoulder width apart, okay, and that's our general, the way we start when we get ready in our pass pro posture. Chest up, necks back, okay, heads back, okay, elbows up, hands up and ready, not having to get ready, okay. Lateral sets, same pass pro posture. We utilize that when a defensive person is actually touching you with his alignment, okay, and we want to stone him right now, stop his bull rush. We want to punch him, take a good lateral set, and keep active feet and maintain inside leverage, mostly used with your interior guys, okay. What's good pass pro posture? We just talked about it. Number one thing you can tell, okay, with good linemen, okay, you should be able to see their numbers, okay. So when they get down, you should be able to see their chest up, okay. You should be able to see their neck bowed, okay. You should be able to see their hands within the infrastructure of their body, okay. You should be able to see hands up. A lot of young linemen, the first thing they do is their hands are down. Let me tell you now, it's a race. It's an absolute race to get inside. Whoever gets their hands inside first, 9 times out of 10 will win and control the block. So we want to always keep our hands up in here tight, ready for the fight, ready for them to approach, and ready to time and strike and create separation with our punch. Okay, so those are two things that we really coach up as it pertains to overall pass pro posture. All right. Now, some things that we utilize quite naturally, like everybody else in the country utilizes. Our basic 5-man protection. I'll draw it up for you real quick. Our basic 5-man protection, okay, what we call it cup protection, okay. All right, and all cup protection is we want to create a cup style protection for the quarterback to be able to step up in. Normally within a 5 to 7 step drop, we want a cup protection, okay? And all that is right now is my center's going to identify Mike, and he's going to identify Mike, the one that's adjacent to the shade, okay? So we have the shade here, so we identify Mike right here, right now. That's our responsibility, okay? All right, tackle's going to be big on big. Guard with the 3 technique, big on big. Right tackle, big on big. And now the running back is responsible for the other linebacker, okay? That'll be our base 5-man protection, okay? And that's what we call cup protection, all right? Now, our 6-man protection, okay? 6-man protection. We normally call this protection, all right, east or west protection, okay? And basically what that is, east or west protection, all right? East or west protection is according to where the outside rush is coming from, okay? So if we have cup protection on now, and we just went over it where we know the running back's responsible for here, okay, and this guy walks up on the line, he's getting ready to come right now, we're going to check east, 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 or check west, west, west. In this situation, because he's coming up on the left-hand side, we're going to check west, west. Now we just checked our protection to a 6-man protection. Now we're going to fan here, okay, bam, we're big on, okay, bam, big on, and running back take the first thing off the edge. Anything show, he's going to take it, okay? So that's our base 6-man protection. Our slide east or west, depending upon where the front is coming, where the rush is coming from on the outside. All right. Now, one rule of thumb for this, and I had to teach my guys this, is you have to consistently train their eyes, because these guys are going to be moving and stunting, and you have to worry about your gap and your gap only. Okay, you got to understand that when we're doing slide protection, You have to keep your eyes in your gap, okay? If you have a three technique crosses your face, you have to be disciplined enough to stay here, stay your eyes in your gap, and trust your buddy on the backside to be doing his responsibility and maintaining his gap. All right, so that's some of the coaching points that we'll coach up on that 6-man protection. 7-man protection, quite naturally, if we in a situation where we go 2 back, we have 2 backs in, and let's say they give us some type of bear front or what have you, then quite naturally what we like to do is we'll go big on big up front and let our running backs take anything, whether it's a safety coming off the edge or whether it's Willie coming off. Running backs will take whatever comes off the edge, and I like to block 5 on 5, my 5 down guys for their 5 down guys. I'm not a big fan of putting linebackers on 270 and 80 pound, not linebackers, but running backs on 270, 280 pound defensive ends or stand up guys. I want to make sure it's an even fight. So we're going to make sure we take 5 on 5, and we're going to leave these outside guys for our running backs to pick up, okay, in our basic max protection, 7-man protection. All right, those are 3 major things. Quite naturally, we'll have adjustments based off what we see, on the tape and what they're doing. We'll have some checks and different things that we'll be prepared for. But those are the 3 base protections that we'll utilize. And everything else is just kind of centered around those. And then just to finish it up, some pass pro drills. Something that we really use is I start off with transitions. I start off with establishing their kick step. Then I start off with their lateral steps. Then I start off with transitioning between kick step to lateral step to kick step, okay? Because that's important. What happens if he lines up wide? You take a vertical step set or a kick set, and now he tries to cross your face. Now you got to do what? You got to transition down to your lateral set, okay? So, hey, we got to make sure we're prepared to transition to and from. A lot of times linemen feet go dead on them, okay? And once they're prepared for the first move, but they're not prepared for move 2 or possibly 3. So we practice those transitions all the time in practice. Another thing we do is rapid punch drill. And the reason why is because we have to understand the importance of using our hands. Hands, and more hands. Okay, so we're going to use it all the time, just getting sets of 20 in of just letting our hands go and just punching and practicing, understanding timing. Okay, understanding the importance of being able to time it because we need that separation. All right, demeanor drill, making sure that you're in good demeanor, good pass pro demeanor, so that if they try to snatch and pull you, you don't fall on your face, you're back, you're in a good football position, and you're ready to play football. Mirror dodge. Maintaining inside leverage. We want to make sure that we start off with inside leverage and we finish with inside leverage. We don't fall for the okie-doke and we don't allow them to juke us out and let us get out of position or get to our hip, okay, get to our hip pocket to where we're beat. We want to make sure that we maintain active feet and we stay inside, okay, keep an inside-out relationship on that defender. And then lastly, one thing we utilized that, I'm going to be honest with you, reaped a lot of great dividends for us this season. We worked a lot of stunt twist combinations with our defense. Just working on penetrate loop, different scenarios that you defensive guys like to give us. Especially with a young offensive line, they got to understand the importance of if somebody leaves, somebody's coming. Okay, and they need to also understand the importance of working on levels. Okay, anytime you create separation, now you create a gap for that defender to penetrate. We want to be hip to hip. Somebody leaves us, we want to slam down hard right now and be tight and create that to where there's no way where you can penetrate, and we're anticipating the loop. It's what I call pass and pop techniques. My guys understand that if somebody leaves, we're going to pass him down, force him down, get hip to hip, and we're going to anticipate the loop right now and be in a position to pick it up. Okay, so those are what we normally do, some things that we'll do in the passing game. What I want to do as we get ready to conclude, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. By no means do I know it all. I'm just a young, humble football coach that's looking for an opportunity to learn from some great minds and to continue my craft and continue my maturation process. As I said before, I feel like God placed me here to be able to not only be a positive representation, but to be able to contribute some of the experiences that I was able to have gained to this new group of football players and guys that's coming both at the collegiate and the professional level. I'm gonna be honest with you. I pray that you guys can see me as a benefit to your program or to your organization. You know, I would love to contribute in any way possible to help you guys achieve whatever goals that you guys have, you know, and whatever you're trying to accomplish in the organization. But long story short, you know, thank you a lot for the opportunity. Very appreciative, and I hope to be seeing you sometime soon.